Battle Through the Heavens God, the Flame Emperor Chapter 96, Intend. Let's go. Yuero also got up and led the way. Seeing this, Xiaoyan also got up and followed. There was still some distance from Qing Yuan's resting place, and then Xiaoyan was also itching to ask his master, the Golden Dragon King. Master, which sect do we have to join? Xiaoyan was also looking forward to the explanation given by Yu just now. The place where the real powerhouses of the Xianling continent gather, Suan Santian? Xiaoyan also believes that there will be a very exciting place. Hey, even though there is such a big twist in the beast ruins this time, the heavens favored sons near Qingcheng have not obtained good fortune, but let you get the good fortune of this beast ruins, so the messengers who come to receive them will definitely pay attention. Yes, and I will take the initiative to invite you to join the Xianling royal family, but this Xianling royal family is not a good people. I have traveled to this Xianling royal family before. I remember that a young royal family went to the head for medicine for his humble wife, and the royal family directly sentenced the woman to death. That man is also famous for being good. In my opinion, the Xianling royal family used to maintain their identity, because that man was a member of the royal family, with noble blood, and that person turned out to be like an ordinary people. So in my opinion, the Xianling royal family is just driven by the royal family who controls the Xianling continent. If there is no royal family's Docian in charge, do you think this Xianling royal family can become the top power on this continent? Although this Xianling royal family is indeed the strongest sect, it's not an exaggeration, who has a strong background of fighting immortals, but if you really talk about it with other sect, this Xianling royal family is like the hottest chicken. Other powerful sect on the Xianling continent have a clear management reward and punishment mechanism. It does not depend on your birth status. It depends on your hard work and dedication, so that everyone has the opportunity to compete for cultivation resources, but the Xianling royal family is different. As long as you have an identity, you can hold the sky with one hand. The Golden Dragon King also tried to recall. I can't imagine that the hearts of this royal family are so dark. Xiaoyan also smacked his lips. This royal family did this. Aren't they afraid of being overthrown? So there should be a lot of forces in these years who are secretly dissatisfied with the rule of the royal family, but they are helpless behind the royal family. The royal family has a strategic role, so they don't dare to act rashly. The Golden Dragon King said slowly. And I vaguely guess that the Holy Flame also seems to be related to the Xianling royal family. The Golden Dragon King's eyes were also deep at this moment. So, do I still need to join the Xianling royal family? Xiaoyan asked. No, although the power of flame on your body is not as powerful as the Holy Flame, it is also extremely powerful. It is inevitable that there will be some people who will want to snatch it from you, and with a Docian sitting in that royal family, my existence may also be discovered. From what I have seen before, now the Soul Clan may also collude with Wuchen City, and I have to hide for a moment. And there is another purpose for our trip to the Xianling continent. My old friend doesn't know the situation about the matters of the Soul Clan and Wuchen City. Before, Tuoshi was not less plotted by the Soul Clan. As he spoke, a trace of resentment flashed in the eyes of the Golden Dragon King. Master, I have written it down, don't worry. Xiaoyan also said comfortably. The two were speechless and walked to a wooden house. Her situation seems to be helpless even for my father, so be prepared. Yuera said suddenly outside the quiet wooden house. Yeah. Xiaoyan was also very surprised at what happened to Qing Yuan. Although Yu could be as strong as a 5-star Dode can't do anything, but now that his master the Golden Dragon King is also here, there should be no need to worry too much. Hey, you underestimate the little girl Qing Yuan too. A mere 5-star Dode strong person is not worthy to carry shoes for others in the future. Even if the Golden Dragon King was entrenched in the ring, Xiaoyan's thoughts were a little different. Clearly, compared to Xiaoyan, he was helpless, and wailed, could his master, the Golden Dragon King, be able to rely on his own thoughts? Squeak. The slightly closed wooden hut was gently opened by Yuero. Xiaoyan didn't have time to think about it, and followed in. The small house is simple and unadorned, but it has everything it should have. Gently walking towards the bed, a beautiful figure lay flat on it. Looking carefully, this figure is quite attractive, but the eyes of this beautiful figure on the bed is tightly closed, and there is a stream of pure white light surrounds her whole body. Qing Yuan. Xiaoyan also frowned, then looked at the woman on the bed and called softly, You can't wake her up like this. My father found a lot of powerful experts. Even they are well informed, they can't do anything. Yueru's beautiful eyes sank slightly. Obviously she's also worried about the girl in the bed. Xiaoyan said that this seems to be just her sister. Oh, some power has overflowed, it seems that time is running out. The voice of the Golden Dragon King also sounded slowly in Xiaoyan's heart. Master, what is this situation? Xiaoyan also used his soul power to transmit his voice to his Master Dragon King. With his extensive knowledge, he obviously knew this situation. Hey, didn't I tell you before that I need you to refine that solid foundation pill? What you want to know will be revealed when it is refined. Before anything happen, you need to hurry. The Golden Dragon King said. Is she will be alright? Xiaoyan was obviously worried, and then searched for materials needed. Absolutely no problem. At least in this month, there is no problem, but if it takes longer, then I don't know. The Golden Dragon King also said seriously. Xiaoyan also forgot that Yuero was still here, and focused on inquiring about Qing Yuan with his master, the Golden Dragon King. Yuero also looked at Xiaoyan, who was staring blankly at Qing Yuan in the bed. Puff. She laughed and muttered to herself. I can't believe that Xiaoyan cares so much about his sister. Then now that the medicinal materials are complete, let's start refining the medicinal pills. Xiaoyan also suddenly came back to his senses. Huh? So suddenly? Yuero was also puzzled. Well, I can't help it. There's only one of each medicinal materials that I got for this medicinal pill, but they should be able to cure Qing Yuan's condition. Also, she has been in a coma for several days, and now I can only rely on this medicinal material, Xiaoyan also said helplessly. Then it's not too late, I'll take you to the alchemy room. Yuero also knew the seriousness of the matter and lead the way. Then I will trouble Miss Yuero. Xiaoyan also quickly. Chapter 97, Sunar. In the quiet wooden house, Xiaoyan also closed his eyes and calmly adjusted his state. According to his master the Golden Dragon King, this solid foundation Pei Yuan pill is also in the peak of the First Order Emperor pill. If it is not adjusted to the best state, Xiaoyan will not dare to rashly take action. After all, the medicinal materials are extremely limited. The First Order Imperial Grade medicinal pills are divided into 3 levels of Heaven, Earth, and Profound. Xiaoyan has to pay attention to the fact that this solid foundation Pei Yuan pill can be ranked at the top of the First Grade Emperor. In the midst of such busyness, a simple jade pendant that recorded the souls of Sunar and the others slowly fell out and caught Xiaoyan's eyes. Sunar. Kaylin, how are you all? Xiaoyan also muttered to himself. On the Doqi continent on weekdays, Sunar and Kaylin were always by his side. He didn't notice the big nervous feeling, but now that he's alone, he suddenly felt that something was missing, and his heart felt a little empty. And after discovering his emotions, he was quite annoyed again, because he remembered that since he came to this Doqi continent, they got separated, and now he's missing Sunar and Kaylin. The usually gentle and moving girl, just like spring water, it penetrates people's hearts unknowingly. With a cold but tender color scale, the two of them are deeply imprinted in the depths of his hearts, no matter what. And when he thought of that elegant girl with a hint of mystery, Xiaoyan couldn't help but stop the flame in his hand, and look his eyes from the wooden house, but he didn't know which direction to look, and for a while, he could only sigh and murmur in a low voice, Sunar, Kaylin, you have to wait for me. I will find you as soon as possible. Don't be distracted, I will take you to find them when the matter here is over. The Golden Dragon King also saw Xiaoyan's thoughts, and then comforted him. Let's start the fire. The Golden Dragon King said. In a world outside the Xianling continent, there are 7 mountain peaks shrouded in clouds and mist, and the 7 mountain peaks are slowly intertwined, as if forming a mysterious rune. One of the 7 peaks, in front of an exquisite attic, a slender green shadow sat on a stone platform and stared blankly into the distance. 3,000 blue silks were casually tied with a lavender ribbon. The breeze was blowing, and the blue silk fluttered, giving the girl a refined temperament. The girl's beautiful eyes revealed a faint golden color. She seemed to sense something moving in the attic. She closed her eyes slightly. After a while, she finally slowly opened her eyes. After dispersing, the mountain top became clear and visible. Father, are you back? The girl turned back suddenly, her rosy mouth said lightly, and an ethereal silver bell-like clear voice echoed from the top of the mountain. And as her voice fell, the shadow under a corner of the attic not far away suddenly wriggled strangely, and immediately turned into a familiar figure. It was Gu Yuan. When Gu Yuan appeared, he also looked at the girl in front of him lovingly. "Father, how about you rest first? Is there any news about him?" The girl suddenly sat up from the stone platform and turned around, showing that smiling cheek with a clear lotus and refined temperament. At this moment, in the voice that is always difficult to fluctuate, there is actually a little more impatient. Who else could it be, other than the Suner who made Xiaoyan think about it at night? But no matter how she changes, there is still one thing that remains, that is, when she hears the news about that name, Gu Suner's state of mind will ripple in circles. Perhaps as Ling Ying had expected at the beginning, there would be a shadow in Suner's heart forever. This shadow, even the stubborn coercion of the clan, would be difficult to erase. He clearly heard the urgency in Suner's tone, and Gu Yuan sighed in his heart. I can't believe what Ling Ying said is true. When he was on Douqi continent, Ling Ying once told Gu Yuan about this, but Gu Yuan didn't take it to heart. Only when she hears about young Master Xiaoyan, will she truly be like an ordinary girl. She is usually as unmoving as a mountain, but she is like those old monsters who have been cultivating for many years. But it lacks the liveliness that a girl should have. Ling Ying said. These thoughts flashed in his heart, but Gu Yuan had a doting look on his face, smiled and shook his head. Don't worry, Suner, Xiaoyan will be fine. Gu Yuan also hurriedly comforted him. Yeah. Suner also responded slightly. I'm still going out to look for Xiaoyan. But Suner, you should be more careful. This place is no better than the ancient tomb on the Douqi continent. Although I don't know why, the people here seem to have other plans for you. Gu Yuan also said. After coming out from the mysterious passage of Douqi continent, they seemed to be separated. Suner and her father went to one place, and Kailin and Zukan also seemed to be missing. Suner and Gu Yuan also gradually knew some of the rules of this Dode, and they found the ancient tribe on Dode continent by relying on the power of bloodline. The ancient tribe were also the leading forces on this Dode continent. With the addition of Gu Yuan and Suner, they were also very welcome. Being able to advance from Douqi continent to Dode continent could mean a lot. Moreover, when the stewards of the ancient clan discovered the bloodline of the gods in Suner's body and the Gold Emperor incinerating fire, their attitudes changed greatly, and they gave Gu Yuan a mountain as a place to practice and live. The 7 peaks are called Dosian Peak by the people in the clan. As the name suggests, each mountain is inhabited by people who have made outstanding contributions to the ancient clan, or are powerful enough to fight immortals. Suner and Gu Yuan were also surprised why they were treated this way. It stands to reason that even the bloodline of the gods is only useful before the Do Emperor. After all, it is the purest bloodline of the gods, so there is only one possibility. The Gold Emperor incinerating fire is in her body. Suner also clearly remembered that the Gold Emperor incinerating fire is ranked 4th on the Douqi continent's list of heavenly fires, and the color was golden. Although it is not as mysterious as the purifying demonic lotus fire, it has a splendid name in ancient times, and this kind of heavenly fire is the fire inherited from their ancient clan. Even before Suner, few people can conquer it. The Gold Emperor incinerating fire was a terrifying fire that can burn even a Douqi of a person. Legend has said that the first owner of the Gold Emperor incinerating fire, when he cast this fire, he directly burned the space created by a strong Do immortal into nothingness. However, Suner and Gu Yuan also stayed, planning to find Xiaoyan and leave the ancient clan. Because although it is an ancient clan, when they entered the ancient clan, it was strange, and they did not see the patriarch and some elders of the ancient clan at all. And the breath of these ancient people is also a bit strange. Hearing that his father did not find Xiaoyan either, a delicate jade pendant appeared on Suner's slender jade hand. This is the soul jade given by Xiaoyan. The jade hand gently touched the slowly beating patterns on the jade pendant, and Suner muttered to himself outside the old man's mountain. Brother Xiaoyan, do you know? Suner misses you. Chapter 98, Holy Tripod List. Take it away, said the Golden Dragon King's soul power instantly poured into the Emperor Flame Ring, and then an exquisite medicine tripod also appeared in front of them from the ring. Seeing this, Xiaoyan also nodded in satisfaction, and then the milky white flames poured into the medicinal cauldron and surged violently, constantly releasing terrifying temperatures. But no matter how the temperature skyrocketed, the red medicinal cauldron still did not make even slightest movement. Even if the temperature inside is terrifyingly high, its exterior is still as cool as ice. Good tripod. Xiaoyan was also helpless about this, so he had to ask for help from his master, the Golden Dragon King. Hey, you want to say something from me again? The Golden Dragon King said helplessly. He stared at this little fellow with fiery eyes. After a while, Xiaoyan couldn't help but praised, even though he hadn't used this cauldron to start refining medicinal pills, but after this test, he can guess how helpful this kind of medicinal cauldron for refining, and he can even say that using this medicinal cauldron for refining can even improve the success rate a lot. For an alchemist, what else is something is more attractive than a medicine tripod that can improve the success rate of refining pill? The fiery red medicinal cauldron is quite sturdy, and a fiery red flame is faintly lingering around it. Xiaoyan clearly remembers what his master Yao Lao said, that not all medicine tripods can have multiple burners, because the arrangement of each burner requires extremely precise polishing, otherwise it will be impossible to make a good tripod. Therefore, if a medicinal cauldron has multiple vents in front of it, there is a very high possibility that it is a good cauldron. Xiaoyan stared at this imposing medicinal cauldron with bright eyes, and couldn't help but sighed in admiration. Compared with his master, the medicinal cauldron he used was undoubtedly extremely shabby. Master, I can't help but use a medicinal cauldron. You also said that it is quite difficult for me to refine this at my current level. Xiaoyan also looked at his master, the Golden Dragon King, depressed. On the surface of the medicinal cauldron, a lifelike flame pattern was drawn, and when Xiaoyan's milky white flames poured into the medicinal cauldron, the medicine tripod also slowly rotated. The flame patterns on the surface of the medicinal cauldron turned out to be like real objects, and Xiaoyan could even sense that faint flame energy was condensing around the medicinal cauldron. The most conspicuous thing about the medicinal cauldron is that there are 7 tigers' mouths around the cauldron. The 7 tigers' mouths are naturally arranged on it, and the size of the flame can be controlled at any time. It will not be too strong to damage the medicinal materials, nor will it be too small to waste time. And this medicine tripod is obviously not just gorgeous in appearance. Judging from the flame patterns around it and the self-condensed flame energy of the 7 flaming ports, it is obvious that it has a considerable increase in refining medicine. The medicinal cauldron, like the flame, is the most important thing in the hands of the alchemist. A good medicinal cauldron can greatly improve the success rate of refining pills. This medicinal cauldron, others call it blazing flames. Tuoshi really spent a lot of money to get it back then. Looking at the fiery red medicinal cauldron suspended in midair, the Golden Dragon King was also said while deeply touched. Blazing flames? It really deserves its reputation. Xiaoyan shook his head in admiration. He, who had not been in contact with Yao Lao, naturally did not know the name. However, Xiaoyan also knew that a good medicinal cauldron had the same huge attraction to an alchemist, like the heavenly fires. Similar to the holy flame list, there is also a holy cauldron list in the field of medicine refining. As the name suggests, the cauldrons list records those extremely perfect and outstanding medicinal cauldrons. Among the cauldrons list, there are 23 cauldrons. Each of these medicinal cauldrons has the magic power that makes countless alchemists rush for it. And in that cauldron, the cauldron ranked 18th is the so-called blazing flame. Seeing Xiaoyan's astonished appearance, the Golden Dragon King also smiled. However, he did not open his mouth to explain the origin of the tripod in front of him, and his palms trembled slightly. Milky white flames quickly swirled around the palm of his hand. Xiaoyan slowly pressed his palm to a diamond-shaped flame of cauldron. With a flick of the fingers, the milky white flames lingered in the cauldron. For the alchemist, the heavenly fire and the holy flame are also the power of flames born from the heavens and earth. They are used to refine medicinal pills. The medicinal pills they make are also much better than ordinary medicinal pills. In the churning of the milky white flame, the temperature inside the medicinal cauldron gradually reached the level required by Xiaoyan, and taking advantage of this time, he also repeatedly looked at the refining method of solid foundation Pei Yuan pill. The prescription for this pill was passed to him by the Golden Dragon King at the beginning, but because he was busy with the ruins at the time, he never touched it. After reading the recipe for solid foundation Peiyuan pill back and forth several times, Xiaoyan gradually set it in his mind. With a wave of his sleeve, the medicinal herbs in front of him were directly sent into the flames with a clever energy. Inside the medicine tripod. Xiaoyan couldn't help shivering. It shouldn't be. When he was refining the medicinal pill, the temperature of the heavenly fire was so high, how could it be? Little fellow, don't be distracted. The Golden Dragon King also said viciously, this solid foundation Peiyuan pill is quite difficult to refine, it's the first rank of the Emperor pill. Now you need to focus on your heavenly fire. This kid dared to be distracted when it was most prone to accident. With Xiaoyan's overthinking, a more powerful flame emerged and poured into the cauldron, trying to speed up the melting speed of the medicinal material. Xiaoyan first calmed down a bit, then flicked his fingers, and a wisp of milky white flame emerged from his fingertips. With the appearance of the flame, the temperature of the wooden house suddenly rose, but this natural effect did not hinder Xiaoyan in the slightest. He stared at the medicinal cauldron tightly, and after a while, he waved his hand, and the milky white flame was shooting out, and finally followed the fire opening of the red medicinal cauldron, into the medicine tripod. As the milky white flames poured into the medicinal cauldron one after another, the medicinal cauldron suddenly expanded, and the inside of the wooden house turned into a raging flame, which rose and burned. Puffed with a sound, the pitch-black medicinal cauldron in the wooden house exploded. This. Compared with Xiaoyan, he was helpless. If he were an ordinary alchemist, using a flame catalyzed by douqi, this cauldron would naturally be able to withstand it, but his own flame was caused by 23 kinds of heavenly fires that were fused together, but ordinary medicinal cauldrons could not contain such terrifying flames. Seeing this, Xiaoyan also hurriedly recalled the scattered flames in the wooden house, and then left a small flame in the middle of the wooden house to slowly surround the medicinal herbs with traces. Chapter 99, Refining Solid Foundation Peiyuan Pill. Looking at the fire-red medicinal cauldron in front of him, Xiaoyan took a deep breath, opened his mouth, and a huge cloud of milky white flame was sprayed out. With a flick of his finger, the flame took a beautiful arc and broke into the medicinal cauldron. Inside, it suddenly exploded. The raging fire was constantly churning in the medicinal cauldron, and the increasing temperature made the wooden house gradually feel a little hotter. While the flames were rising, Xiaoyan waved his sleeves, and the medicinal herbs flew out from his ring immediately. And they were suspended in the air in the wooden house under the package of medicinal herb. There was like a piece of radiating energy. The ray of light is generally a small group of light, and it looks quite gorgeous from below. Solid Foundation Peiyuan Pill. The first grade Emperor rank pill of the Emperor's grade, has the magical effect of improving physical fitness, stimulating the potential of sleep in the body, and improving the amazing magical effect of cultivation talent. The materials required for refining are extremely cumbersome, and there are about 107 kinds. Among them, the main materials are divided into 5 kinds: snow creamji, greenwood fruit, dragon blood fairy vine, emperor level dragon demon core, and emperor level or higher level beast blood essence. 5 kinds of materials, all of which are rare. And it is quite difficult to find these things, but thanks that there are some materials in the ring of my master, and the magic core in the ruins, Xiaoyan has only one chance to refine it, and the refining method is quite difficult for being particular and demanding. The refining method of solid foundation Peiyuan pill slowly emerged in Xiaoyan's mind, and some key points were imprinted in his mind without missing a word. It is the first time Xiaoyan has seen 107 refining materials that require such a large amount of medicinal herbs. Even in the previous assessment by the Alchemist Association, it was not so complicated. It can be seen that this solid foundation cultivates vitality. The difficulty of refining the pill is probably even higher than the previous transforming pill. Numerous thoughts flashed through Xiaoyan's mind. After being expelled by Xiaoyan, he raised his head, sensed the temperature in the medicinal cauldron, nodded slightly, and drew his fingers slightly, only to see the surging milky white flames burning in the medicinal cauldron, and suddenly gradually weakened. His eyes were fixed on the medicinal cauldron. After a while, Xiaoyan moved his fingers, and a beam of light swept in, which immediately turned into a milky white ganodermal lucidum and landed in his hands. As soon as this ganodermal lucidum appeared, it was filled with a strong icy aura, and in this icy cold, a rather pure energy fluctuation could be faintly felt. This is one of the main materials for refining solid foundation Payun pill, snow cream G, which is also quite difficult to form, at least in extremely cold places. It is possible to break through the ground in the land of ice and snow. Xiaoyan gently rubbed the surface of the snow cream with his fingers. Feeling the slightly cold and pure energy contained in it, he let out a sigh of relief, flicked his fingers, and snow cream Ji turned into a red glow and was thrown into the medicinal cauldron. With the input of snow cream Ji, the milky white flame that was dormant in the medicine cauldron suddenly surged up like a hungry wolf, swallowing in one bite. Just as the flames engulfed the snow cream Ji, Xiaoyan flicked with his 10 fingers, only to see the numerous light spots suspended in midair, immediately divided nearly 10, and put them all into the medicinal cauldron end to end, without hesitation. Into the flames. Snow cream Ji is naturally cold, and it will die when it touches fire. If you want to quench the medicinal liquid in it, you must have other medicinal herbs to neutralize the coldness, as Xiaoyan previously put the medicinal herbs into the medicinal cauldron. The medicinal herbs are the neutralizing things that have been prepared in advance. With so many medicinal materials being refined at the same time, the requirements for soul power are quite strict, but it is fortunate that Xiaoyan now possesses such qualifications and strength. The many medicinal materials that broke into the flames, in a few breaths of contact with the milky white fire, quickly withered, and finally turned into powder, and a drop of pure medicinal liquid was left behind. Under the subtle control of Xiaoyan's soul power, it blended slightly, and then evenly dripped onto the increasingly withered snow cream. With the dripping of these medicinal liquids, the milky white flame on the snow cream began to slowly fade, and pieces of white powder skin fell off from it. In just a moment, the color of the snow cream became pale. A few drops of pale white medicinal liquid spilled on the blood-red powder skin, and immediately, under the constant temperature around, the skin melted quietly. Waiting slowly. Seeing the speed of the snow cream in the cauldron melting like a snail, Xiaoyan did not relax. With a flick of his finger, he began to refine the second medicinal material. Multitasking with one mind, dividing the power of the soul into multiple parts to control the extraction of medicinal materials. This is the ability of Xiaoyan. Inside the fiery red giant cauldron, the snow cream is slowly being melted by the heavenly fire. Green wood fruit was just thrown into the cauldron, and the turbulent milky white flame devoured it directly, but the strange thing was that the terrifying high temperature of the milky white flame did not achieve much effect against green wood fruit. It really deserves to be a green wood fruit. The palm-sized fruit with its green body is actually harder than snow cream Ji. Xiaoyan also muttered to himself. The extraction of the green wood fruit lasted for an hour. After the outermost green skin peeled off, the golden yellow fruit inside was revealed. Xiaoyan also knew that this was the hardest part of the green wood fruit. Increase the intensity of the flame. The medicine tripod is divided into 2 parts of the refining herb, snow cream Ji, and green wood fruit are each wrapped in a flame and slowly melting. And with the investment of dragon blood immortal vine, the tripod is also showing a 3-legged situation. The rarity of dragon blood immortal vine is slightly better than the first 2. After all, the birth of this medicinal material is also extremely harsh, and it must be born in a place bathed in dragon blood. As soon as the dragon blood vine entered the cauldron, it was surrounded by raging fire, and then Xiaoyan waved his hand, and several medicinal materials were also thrown into the cauldron. The power of the dragon blood vine is too domineering. It must be neutralized with other medicinal materials, otherwise it will be destroyed before it becomes a pill. After doing all this, Xiaoyan also felt relieved when he saw the 3-legged situation in the medicine cauldron, and with a wave of his palm, a dragon demon core was thrown directly into the cauldron. This is the dragon demon core obtained from the bloodthirsty dragon lizard. The demon core is not too hard, it can be slowly melted by the flame. Seeing the success of the first step of refining, Xiaoyan also breathed a sigh of relief. With a wave of his palm, the flame enveloped it, slowly exuding warmth. The volume of the 4 flames gradually shrinks, and the medicinal materials in them are also slowly melting. Refining medicinal pills itself is an extremely time-consuming task, and the more advanced the medicinal herbs are, the more precious the medicinal materials are, and the longer it takes. After all, this is not an ordinary medicinal pill. Even with Xiaoyan's power of flame that combines 23 kinds of heavenly fires, it is still time-consuming to deal with this medicinal. Chapter 100, Refined Herbs. The refining of the three main materials is extremely slow. If there is no special extraction method, it is difficult to extract the medicinal power that needed from it. If you are not careful, there will even be a fried cauldron. This is the case with snowcreamji, and even more so with dragon blood immortal vine. The extraction of snowcreamji is even more difficult than the transformation pills that were made by the Refining Alchemist Association. Nearly 20 kinds of ingredients were neutralized, and it took Xiaoyan about 4 days. A drop of white liquid like bone marrow was successfully extracted from it. After the successful extraction of snowcreamji, Xiaoyan also extracted the dragon blood vine. The so-called dragon blood vine itself is extremely hard, and it becomes even harder after bathing in dragon blood. It is rumored that this dragon blood vine also contains a trace of dragon blood, not wood or gold, and the most amazing thing is that this thing has been bathed in dragon blood, so its fire resistance is quite high. Even Xiaoyan, with the help of the heavenly fires, it took 3 full days to make the surface crack open. When the dragon blood vine was cracked, more than 20 light clusters flew into the medicinal cauldron in midair, in order to neutralize the violent aura in the dragon blood vine, and finally those auxiliary medicinal materials were destroyed by Xiaoyan. All refining, turning into droplets of medicinal liquid containing pure power, falling on the ivy. With the help of the reconciling power of these many medicinal materials, the violent dragon blood pressure was suppressed. About half an hour later, the dragon blood fairy vine, which was like a dead branch, finally burst open, a little faint red powder spilled out from it, and was finally solidified into a red powder ball by Xiaoyan's soul power. The refining of the 2 medicinal materials is completed, naturally waiting for the last green wood fruit to complete the first step of refining medicine, extracting and refining the medicinal materials. It is strange to say that the hardness of this green wood fruit is more than that of snow cream and dragon blood vine. Even if Xiaoyan fuses the flame power of 23 kinds of heavenly fires, it took a full 6 days to completely extract it. Xiaoyan couldn't help but smack his lips. The 3 main ingredients were successfully refined. Looking at this scene, Xiaoyan and the Golden Dragon King floating in the air breathed a sigh of relief. With the quick refining techniques of Xiaoyan, the Golden Dragon King was dazzled. Although he didn't know much about refining pills, but from Xiaoyan's refining techniques, it is still possible to see a trace of smoothness like flowing clouds in water. This kind of refining is quite pleasing to the eye. When he saw that Xiaoyan's soul power was divided into 3 and he was refining 3 kinds of medicinal materials at the same time, the Golden Dragon King could not help but be surprised, because of the concentration of the Xiaoyan. No one has ever been able to do this. After all, refining medicine requires a huge amount of soul power as a backup. Xiaoyan's soul power is divided into 3 parts and refining 3 medicinal materials at the same time, and the load of soul power is quite large, and Xiaoyan is also carrying out several medicinal materials at the same time. Although the refining time has been greatly shortened, the load on one's own soul power is undoubtedly huge. The most feared thing in refining medicinal pills is the sudden depletion of soul power in the middle of the process. The Golden Dragon King is also worried about Xiaoyan's appearance. If theirs might be an accident, even damage is small, but the injury is more than the loss. But fortunately, Xiaoyan succeeded. This method of refining medicine by dividing into 3, even the Tuoshi back then did not have such a method. After refining the 3 main ingredients, the magic core was also refined by the heavenly fires of Xiaoyan, and turned into a meatball the size of a naked eye. Seeing the appearance of the square inside the tripod, he also took a short rest, concentrated again, pondered for a while, took out a jade bottle from the ring, the bottle mouth slowly tilted, and immediately, a familiar drop of scarlet blood dripped down. The scarlet blood was floating in front of Xiaoyan. Although the blood volume was small, the violent energy contained in it was not something to be underestimated. This so-called scarlet blood is naturally extracted by Xiaoyan from the bloodthirsty dragon lizard in the ruins. From the beast that is comparable to the human 4-star Dode, it can be seen that its level is not low, far-reaching in accordance with the requirements of refining the consolidated origin pill. If it is used to refine it, if it is successful, the quality of the elixir will probably be even better. When this drop of scarlet blood appeared, Xiaoyan couldn't help but feel distressed. This is a treasure that is enough to resist the full blow of a 4-star Do powerhouse. Xiaoyan fixed his eyes on the drop of scarlet blood. After a while, he flicked his fingers, and the blood flew out lightly, and finally fell into the medicinal cauldron. The scarlet blood just fell into the medicinal cauldron, and the powerful violent energy contained in it was directly blowing a gust of wind in the medicinal cauldron. Seeing this, Xiaoyan frowned slightly, hesitated for a moment, and immediately gritted his teeth. The medicinal liquid and medicinal powder extracted from the snow creamji, green wood fruit, and dragon blood fairy vine are directly injected into the scarlet blood, trying to fuse. All three contained extremely powerful energies, and under the control of Xiaoyan, a monstrous situation erupted, as if no one would accept the other, and the three groups of medicinal materials were also fighting against each other. Damn it! Fuse! Xiaoyan also did not expect that the power of the medicinal materials extracted from the snow creamji, greenwood fruit and dragon blood fairy vine would have a trace of self-consciousness, which deepened the difficulty of fusing the medicinal materials, but Xiaoyan also burst out with vindictive energy, and the huge soul force swept the entire medicinal cauldron, controlling the slow fusion of the power of the three medicinal materials. The medicinal power of the three medicinal herbs just fell into the scarlet blood and did not cause any turbulence, but just when Xiaoyan was about to relax, a violent energy wave suddenly emerged from the scarlet blood. The gust surged out, and immediately slammed into the inner wall of the medicinal cauldron. Immediately, a loud and clear sound wave spread rapidly, affecting the entire wooden house. The heavy medicinal cauldron also trembled a few times at this moment. If it is just an ordinary medicinal cauldron, I am afraid that this shock would have caused it to explode directly. Xiaoyan looked at the drop of scarlet blood that was rapidly churning on the surface of the medicinal cauldron with a gloomy expression. It's like a hedgehog that has entered a state of defense, and within the tumultuous hedgehog, there is a violent wave of energy that is beyond words. Clang! One after another energy fluctuations continuously impacted the inner wall of the medicinal cauldron. A loud sound waves reverberated throughout the wooden house. At this time, almost every member of the Yu family knew that it seemed that there was a little problem with Xiaoyan's refining. Is he alright? On a quiet path, Yueru's beautiful eyes frowned slightly, and then cast her gaze at the wooden house where Xiaoyan was. Xiaoyan's eyes were fixed on the power of several groups of medicinal materials in the medicinal cauldron, and then he rushed towards the cauldron with all his doqi, instantly suppressing the violent energy in the cauldron, and then the soul power poured out, densely covered every corner of the medicine tripod.
Hi! I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to get updated on my latest video. Thank you for watching.